Good morning and welcome to another session on human resource management. Myself, Dr. Jacob PM from Naipunya Business School. Today, we will be discussing on human resource management of University of Calicut, Module 5, Part 4. In this Module 5, which is compensation management and grievance redressal, we will be looking into the Part 4, which deals with grievance, reasons for grievances, and redressal procedure as far as grievances are concerned. Today we will be discussing about grievances. Now, grievance is not it's not an unfamiliar term as far as anybody is concerned, including you, because grievances are there for every human being on this earth, which may be something due to the perception, or maybe his own grievances about certain things which are not being fulfilled, or it may be due to any promises which somebody has made and it has not been fulfilled. So grievance is there for everyone, but today we will be looking at employee grievances. Now, whatever grievances, personal grievances we have, employee grievances are also similar to that. Now, the definition here is employee grievance relate to problems of interpretation, perceived non-fulfillment, or promises not kept by the organization. So here, one is the employee is not able to interpret what are the things that have been written on the appointment order. That could be a reason for a grievance, or in other words, the interpretation has not been clarified. It has been understood in another context, or maybe in another way. As a result, the employee is not clear, and he feels that, and he becomes grieved about the problem that he is facing. Another one could be perceived non-fulfillment of an employee's expectations. Now, perceived non-fulfillment of an employee's expectation means employee had an expectation. Now, this expectation may be perceived or maybe sometimes promised. Either way, it has not been fulfilled and it remains as a grievance. And the third one it talks about is promises not kept by the organization. Sometimes in the appointment order, the company would have kept a promise, but or the supervisor would have given a promise, but it has not been fulfilled. So grievance can be anything. It can be an interpretation of about a problem which has not been or which has not been understood, or a perceived non-fulfillment of an employee's expectation, or it can be a promises which the organization has not kept uh, as far as the employee is concerned. Now, a grievance is a complaint of one or more workers with respect to wages, conditions of work, leave, transfer, overtime, promotion, seniority, job assignment, termination of service, etc. Any number. So it can be on various reasons. Employee grievances can be on various reasons, right from wages to termination of service. So let us try to understand what is grievance. According to daily order, a grievance is a written complaint filed by an employee and claiming unfair treatment. So daily order says it should be a written complaint, but it's not necessary it has to be a written complaint. Sometimes a grievance be may be kept inside the person itself. He may not be willing to disclose that because he may feel that he may be some action may be taken against him. But at the same time, he continues to do certain things, maybe as a revenge. Maybe that it may not be understood, or maybe there are situations where he may keep this revenge within himself and may not show it outside, but may do it, take revenge in other ways. For example, it can be a type of latent revenge also. That means in a revenge which is kept inside and being done whenever an opportunity arises. Now, Keith Davis defines it as any real or imagined feeling of personal injustice which an employee has concerning is employment relationship. So this is what we have spoken. We have said that that an imagined feeling. That means there are certain unfulfilled things. The employee had certain feelings, and some he felt it has to happen like this, but it did not happen because the company may not have considered all those things, and he feels that it is a personal injustice to him or her. So anyway, it is a grievance, and the employee relationship between the company and the employee may become so. According to Michael J. Jusius, a grievance is any discontent or dissatisfaction, whether expressed or not, whether valid or not, arising out of anything. Now, this is actually the better definition as far as grievance is concerned, because it says that any grievance is a discontent or a dissatisfaction, maybe anything. Discontentment can be there, or dissatisfaction can be there. Okay, discontentment may not be expressed, dissatisfaction may be expressed, whether expressed or not. Okay, whether valid or not, it may not be valid also, arising out of anything. Anything can become a grievance. Thus, grievance is the feeling of an employee that an injustice has been done to him. The feeling may be valid and legitimate or untrue, and may arise out of something connected with him or her or the organization. So, grievance can be a perceived one, grievance can be a real one, grievance can be an expectation that the employee has. So, grievance is something which can happen anytime, any place, perceived, not written, anything can be called as a grievance. Now, what are the types of grievances or forms of grievances? We find that there are three types of grievances: one, factual; two, imaginary; and three, disguised. Now, factually, grievances arise when legitimate needs of employees remain unfulfilled. Example: wage hike has been agreed but not implemented. That is a factual grievance. It is a fact. Should have been done. Unfortunately, it is not being done. So it is actually a factual grievance. Second, imaginary. Employees' grievance may be because of wrong perception, wrong attitude, or wrong information. Now, all these things, you can find all these things have got examples also. See, for example, an employee may feel that the lunch which is given in the organization is free of cost. Okay, and that can be a wrong perception. Unless and until if it is written down that it is free lunch and not given, then it can be factual. But lunch is provided, but they are charging. So the employee would have expected, it could have been a free lunch. Unfortunately, it was not a free lunch. Or maybe a wrong attitude, because sometimes the employee may not demonstrate actually an attitude, saying that the management is rubbish or useless. So he develops a wrong attitude, and based on that, he may have a grievance because he perceives that the management does not support him. Or it can be wrong information. He may be misguided by some people, teammates, or maybe the union, or maybe some wrong information given to him by somebody who has deranged from the organization. All those things can be called as imaginary. And it is not actually employee grievance. It is not, if you really ask him, it may not be his own grievance. It may be something which is imagined by him that something has happened. Now, the third one is called as disguised. An employee may have dissatisfaction for reasons that are unknown to himself or herself. For example, the employee may be going through familiar pressures, and the grievance is often shown in the workplace. Or the employee may have an interpersonal or intrapersonal conflict, and the grievance is shown in the workplace. So that also is a type of grievance. So there are three different types of grievances. One is called as factual, the other is called as imaginary, and the third one is called as disguised. Now, what are the reasons for grievance in organizations? Here I have tried to list out the various possible chances for grievances. However, this is not all. Maybe there are other reasons also, because expectations can be there, or maybe uh, something that was not kept. So this list is not complete, but still I have tried to given you almost an entire picture of the type of grievances commonly found in organization. Grievances, the main grievances usually happens with concerning wages, and it may be non-payment of wages, or not fully paid, or wage settlement not done. Maybe wages are not paid on time, or maybe it is only half paid, or maybe the wage settlement would have expired. Incentives may not be fair. Wage rates are too low or too complicated. They may not understand, or it is too low as compared to other companies. Mistakes in calculating the wages of the workers may happen as an administration issue. Concerning supervision is another one. Complaints against discipline. Maybe the supervisor try to ensure discipline, and may not be the worker may not like that. Inadequate instructions given for the job can be another one. He doesn't know the job properly, so it becomes as a grievance. Complaints against supervisor for being biased, or maybe too strict, or sometimes he may ignore complaints, because it may be because of the supervisor, or sometimes it may be from the side of the employee also. Employee is making too much of issues, and the supervisor may not be willing to listen every time. Too many rules, which are a common one concerning everyone, whether it is students or employees. I think too many rules people do not like, it becomes a grievance. Regulations not clearly posted, informations not given on time, circulars not read properly. All these, as far as other reasons for employee grievance, can be due to the working conditions, unhygienic working conditions, poor production standards, non-availability of tools, materials, and equipment, hazards at work site, or proper not having proper protection gear, poor ventilation, lack of restrooms, tight production standards, change in schedules or procedures, mismatch between the job and the worker, especially as far as skills are concerned, can all lead to grievance. Grievances also are there as far as management policy is concerned, especially overtime policy. Okay, maybe the overtime policy is not acceptable to the employees, or it may be the promotion, transfer, and seniority issues, especially performance appraisal, promotions, transfers, seniority, benefits as far as seniority is concerned. That also can be a issue as far as agreements are concerned. Role ambiguity, not clear about the role in which he or she works. Lack of opportunities for career growth. Maybe in an organization, there are no chances for career growth. That also can result in a grievance. Leave policy, issues relating to employee conduct and disciplinary action are grievances arising from management policy. Grievance. Then there are personal factors also from the employee side. Maybe narrow attitude of the employee, not able to work in a team, over ambition, and that he or she does not feel that the company does not give opportunities. Egoistic personality also can be an issue. Excessive self-esteem, not able to merge with other people or gel with other people. Impractical attitudes towards life, very much philosophical, not able to accept others, or the attitude towards others may be impractical, or towards work, towards thinking. All these things, the problem could be grievances. Not able to work along with his colleagues, work group, suffers from feeling of neglect, victimization, and becomes an object of ridicule and humiliation. Some people suffer personality adjustments also. So as a result, they may feel have neglect. They may have feelings of neglect, not wanted by everyone. Victimization can be there. Sometimes the employee may be an object of ridicule and humiliation. That also becomes a grievance. Then there are other miscellaneous ones also, like promotion, safety methods, transfer, fines, granting leave, medical facility, etc. All these things can become a grievance. It is a very exhaustive list, but however, I feel that it is not complete. Now, let us look at the effect of grievances. On production side, grievances can lead to low quality of production, low quantity of production, low productivity, increase in wastage, and which can lead to increase in cost of production. This can reduce actually the revenues of the organization. Now, as far as employees are concerned, it will result in increased absenteeism as the employee does not want to come to the organization, reduced level in commitment, increased accidents, and reduced level of employee morale as well as job dissatisfaction also. As far as the effect of grievances on managers, it can be strained superior subordinate relations, which can lead to increased supervision, control, and follow up. If not controlled, it can spread across the organization, leading to labor unrest, and labor unrest can lead to uh, problems in industrial peace also. So again, the entire organization gets affected. It may start from one employee, and it may affect everyone also. So these are the three ways in which grievances can affect an organization. Now let us look at what are the strategies to avoid grievances, because I believe that grievances should be avoided because we believe that prevention is better than cure. So what are the ways in which you can avoid grievances? One, wage information should be clarified to the employees. When you give an appointment order, make it clear about what is the wage. Or when you sign a contract, make it very clear as to what is the wage. Wage settlement should be done on time. Do not delay that. If the worker has done it and if the settlement is weekly, do it weekly. If it is daily, do it daily. If it's monthly, do it monthly. That's it. Job instruction should be properly communicated. When you put on the job, very clearly, it has to be communicated, even including actually the hazards and how to prevent it. Personal biases should be avoided, especially we should keep workspace and personal things separate. So personal biases should be avoided. In the workspace, the supervisor is the supervisor and the employee is an employee. There should not be any other relationship or any other type of biases in the workspace. Complaints raised should not be ignored. Whenever a personal raise a complaint, do not ignore it. Walk up to him, talk to it, and if it is possible to settle then and there, do it. Code of conduct and rules should be put up in the notice board. It is in black and white. Working space should be clean and tidy. Safety and precaution should be displayed at the work site. Proper job analysis should be done before giving appointment orders, job specification, job rule, job design, all these things. Overtime, leave policy, appointment orders should be written and followed. Whatever is written, it has to be followed up. Job role design etc. should be done scientifically. Job analysis should be done scientifically. Performance appraisal also should be done properly, and the feedback to the employee should be communicated on time. Now, what are the objectives of a grievance handling procedure? So now we have tried to avoid a grievance. If it is not working, then we have to handle grievances. So Jackson 2000 says the objectives of a grievance handling procedure. It says that to enable the employees to air his or her grievance. So employee should be able to speak the grievances. To clarify the nature of the grievance, what is the type of grievance and how does it affect the employee? To investigate the reasons for dissatisfaction. If the grievance is there, try to find out what is the reason for dissatisfaction. To obtain wherever possible a speedy resolution to the problem. If the problem is found, get a speedy resolution because it is going to affect the entire organization. Take appropriate actions and ensure that promises are kept. So once that problem is identified, solution is also there, do it immediately. Do not delay because delay also can create actually grievance again, and they may lose confidence as far as the organization is concerned. to inform the employee of his or her right as far as grievance is concerned, and tell him or her, that if at all you are not able to settle grievance, you can proceed to the next stage for a grievance. They have an opportunity to do that. So this is actually an objective. This is the objectives of a grievance handling procedure. So let us look at what are the different types of grievance handling procedures. Now, how to handle an employee grievance? Now, this is the general thing that an HR manager should have on how to handle an employee grievance. Establish whether the grievance needs to be resolved formally or informally. Talk with the employee. Maybe it may be pertaining to one single employee. So talk with them formally, or do you want to have a complaint, or whether it can be settled. So that is the first thing, because the problem is if you start writing it formally, then there can be other issues also following. It may take time also. Choose an appropriate manager to deal with the grievance. If at all the supervisor or the manager is not able to settle with that employee, look into either person or from the HR department. Carry out a full investigation, gather all relevant evidence, sending it to the employee in advance of the meeting. All entire investigation has to be there, because when they come and quote all these things, the manager should also, the person who conducts the grievance also should be grievance procedure, especially, should have details on those things, maybe videos or audios or written, all those things, evidence have to be there. Arrange the grievance meeting, inviting the employee and reminding them of their statutory right to be accompanied. Now, especially employee in an organization, there are opportunities that the employee can be accompanied by somebody also to support him or her as far as the grievance is concerned. Then make sure accurate notes are taken throughout the person who is not involved in the case. So, by another person, there should be a person who should be recording the entire minute who is not at all involved, because we do not want to have any biases as far as the reporting is concerned. Give the employee the opportunity to explain the details of their grievance and what they would like the outcome to be. Ask them what is expectation from the employee. Adjourn the meeting, consider the evidence before making a decision. So close down the meeting, look at the evidence and all those things. And no, don't make a decision immediately. Learn that and discuss it with your managers also. Then only go for a solution. Inform the employee in writing of the decision, explaining how and why the decision was reached, and notify the employer of the right to appeal against the outcome of the grievance procedure. So, if you can also tell them that this is what we would like to solve. If it is not, if you don't accept it, you can always go to for an appeal to a higher authority also. Now, what are the procedures in grievance? There are two procedures that are used as far as grievances are concerned. One is called as the open door policy, and the other is called as the step ladder procedure. Under open door policy, the employees are free to meet with the top executive of the organization and get their grievances addressed directly. They can. Whereas in step ladder procedure, the aggrieved employee has to proceed step by step in getting his grievance heard and addressed. Maybe it starts from the supervisor onwards, it goes on. So we will look into that about these two things. Especially this grievance redressal in step ladder method is given, which is adopted by the Indian Labour Conference model grievance procedure, where the aggrieved employee submits his grievance, to the departmental representative, who in turn goes to the department, grievance committee, chief executive, and voluntary arbitration. I'll read it in personal. Step one: the grievance is to be submitted to the departmental representative, who is a representative of the management. He has to give his answer within 48 hours. If the departmental representative fails to provide a solution, the aggrieved employee can take his grievance to the head of the department, who has to give his decision within 3 days. In step three, if the aggrieved employee is not satisfied with the decision of the departmental head, he can take the grievance to the grievance committee. These are all statutory committees in an organization. The grievance committee makes its recommendation to the manager within 7 days from the form of the report. The final decision of the management and the report of the grievance committee must be communicated to the aggrieved employee within 3 days. So totally in 10 days, they submit it. An appeal for revision on the final decision can be made by the worker if he is not satisfied. The management is communicate its decision to the worker within 7 days. So immediately, they should also respond back if they are not happy, the employee is not happy with the decision. And step 4, if the grievance still remains unsettled, the case may be referred to a voluntary arbitration. I will come to arbitration later as we proceed. Now, grievance handling, usually as I've already told you, the best thing is to address the grievance at the level it occurs. So it will not become formal. It remains as an informal one. If there is a problem between the employee and the supervisor, let us try to resolve it at that level itself. Because the higher the grievance is taken up, then it becomes more difficult to resolve it. So ideally, grievance should be settled then and there. Now, if the dispute is not being able to be addressed by the superior, it is referred to the head of the concerned department, and they have to see that this is being settled then and there. Of course, at this stage it becomes formal because the grievance is being taken against a supervisor or a manager. So naturally, there is a it becomes formal. It may be written in the first level. It may not be written, maybe or may not be written. But in the second stage, it usually will be a written. In the if it is in the organization, once the grievance is not settled, it goes to the organization level, where the general manager or maybe the person who's designated to listen to the grievances, maybe the grievance officer may take up this issue and try to resolve it in the organization level. Of course, the magnitude of the problem becomes bigger, and if it does not happen there, it goes for third party mediation. And in third party mediation, usually it will be an outside party. The employee may be supported by the union, and the management may be, and management may also have their law officers supporting them. And the third party mediation could be a labor officer or maybe a labor commissioner, or it may be even a higher authority, who may interfere at that point. Maybe even there are cases where mediation happens. When mediation happens, even a judge, a retired judge, also may be appointed to mediate. Now, once that becomes, once that mediation happens, and then arbitration is reached, both the parties will have to accept that. Now, this is called as something called as conciliation. Now, so from mediation it goes to conciliation, where during conciliation it becomes labor officer or labor commissioner could be there, and he or she may work on that and try to come out with a solution, and it is published in the gazette also. Okay, and it may be referred to the labor courts. If it is not able to settle, it may be taken to the labor courts or industrial tribunals according to the section 7A of the Industrial Dispute Act, and then it may happen as an adjudication, or it may go to arbitration also, because in adjudication it means that the labor court and tribunals will come out with a solution. And if this process fails, the next stage is called as arbitration, where an external person, especially a retired judge of the Supreme Court or High Court, will become an arbitrator, and he or she may come out with a clarity as far as the grievance is concerned, involving both the employee as well as management. And once he or she, this arbitrator a decision, that will be binding, and no further arbitration will be allowed. So this is the last stage. Arbitration is usually the last stage, but by this time the issue would have become a higher magnitude. Now, what are the legal compliance as far as grievance management is concerned? It is already, this grievance management is mentioned in Industrial Employees Act of 1946, Factories Act of 1948, Industrial Disputes Act of 1947, and the Model Grievance Procedure is formulated in the Code of Discipline adopted in the 16th session of the Indian Labour Congress. where it has opened up the step ladder procedure also. So these are all the legal compliance as far as grievance management is concerned. However, in India, there are some more changes have to happen as far as grievance management is concerned as compared to the Western nations. Now, prerequisites for handling a grievance procedure. Now, there are certain, when you go for a grievance procedure also, the company should think of certain, certain provisions, certain things have to be kept in mind when they go for a grievance handling procedure. What are those things? One, the grievance should be in conformity with statutory provision. That means it should be legally valid or based on the legislation. If you go without statutory provisions and if it is challenged with it goes to the arbitrator, then the management will have no say on it. Second one, grievance handling should be clear and unambiguous, because if it is not clear, then possibly the grievance will have to be opened up once again. So whatever grievances settlement that happens, grievance discussions or grievance sitting which has happened in the company, everything should be transparent, clear, and records should also be maintained. Grievance procedure should be simple. It should be simple and short so that it is able to be understood, and the objective of the grievance also should not be lost. Once grievance is handled properly, it promptly take a decision and see that it is kept, that the promise is kept immediately, and the promises being decisions have to be implemented immediately, so that there is no chance for further grievance. Training should be given for supervisors and as well as human representatives as to understand as to what is the grievance and understand the aspects of grievance handling procedure, or otherwise it may go in different directions. Similarly, the personal department should also track effectiveness of the functioning of the grievance, and how it is, and what are the necessary things to be done to see that it is changed based on legislation. Now, let us look at what are the essentials of a good grievance procedure. A grievance procedure must follow certain principles that are listed below. It should be dealt with first instance at the lowest level. So, as I have already told you, the lowest level itself settle the grievance. If not, it becomes complicated. The line of appeal must be made clear to the employees. They should be clear as to where they cannot directly go. If the company has got a step ladder procedure, the employee should go only through step ladder, or if it has got an open door policy, yes, directly. But this has to be made very clearly. Grievance should be dealt with speed. If the grievance is against an instruction given by a superior, it is the interest of the discipline that instruction must be carried out, because sometimes if the superior is being is maligned by the employee, then it has to be taken in the line of discipline also. Uh, Grievance procedure should be set up within the participation of employees, and it should be applicable to every employee in that organization at different level. Otherwise, grievance should be simple, okay, time bound. It should be prompt and time bound, and it should involve participation of the employee. So that is essentials of a grievance procedure. Let us hope that there are not much grievances in organizations, because grievances are always taking out the productivity, which can result in losses also. So try to avoid grievances. However, if grievances are there, yes, we have to follow the procedures and see that those grievances are settled before it becomes proportionately bigger and bigger. So thank you all for being with me and listening to this session. Uh, Looking forward for any support that you require in the clarifications. If you have any clarifications, you are free to contact me on hod@mbanimit.ac.in. So thank you very much for being with me once again, and looking forward to meeting you all in the next session, which will be shortly relayed. Thank you very much.